Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ruby, this is Ruby Red, and today we're gonna play my TBR game that I play every month, tic-tac-TBR. If you haven't seen it before, it's a game where I put random prompts into a 3x3 grid, and throughout the month I try and read books that are gonna fulfill those prompts in order to get myself a 3 in a row. And for every 3 in a row, I get a reward, and that's that. I don't like to have a solid firm TBR. I like to be able to kind of pick and choose what goes on. So that's how the game works. If you want to see more, the playlist is down below, and so is a Google Sheets template that you can save to your own Google Drive, play your own game, change the prompts, do whatever you need to do. Perfect. That's how this works. And yeah, this is the 3rd month in a row where I don't post any videos except my TBR. So I'm sorry. I do have some videos on deck. They're just not ready yet. I've been really busy. I'm in a new place. I moved. What can you do? If I don't get this video out soon, I don't know what Bailey is going to do. So we're doing it. First, we're going to talk about the prompts that I had for last month, and then we'll talk about how I did, and then we'll talk about what the heck I'm going to do in October because it's a little goofy. Okay, so to switch I've got too many little things here. All right. The prompts from last month were friend pick a book about books, oldest on my TBR, book with a blue cover, book with Flora on the cover, a true crime, a random Goodreads book, which was The King of Infinite Space, a Tales from Two Trails prompt, and a historical fiction. And I actually had 2 rewards last month. I had a readathon book, which just means I can count a book that I read for a readathon for any prompt, and I had a double up. So what did I read? What prompts did we actually nail in the month of September? I gotta say, I did not read a lot. I read only a little. I've been busy. The move was a lot of work, and I feel like we just haven't stopped even since we got to our new house. Between catching up on school and work and unpacking and like seeing every single member of our families, it's been busy. And it's not over. So the first prompt that I actually fulfilled was a Tales from Two Trails prompt, and it was the fantasy prompt. And I read the book How to Bite Your Neighbor and Win a Wager, which was a like vampire romance. Kind of a funny one, if you will. I forget who it's by. I forget how I even heard about it, but I had a hold on Libby for the audiobook. Listened to it, had a lot of fun. Then I read a book with a blue cover, and that was The Night She Disappeared by Lisa Jewell. This is another audiobook that I listened to on my drive across the country, and I really loved this one. I gave it 5 stars, I think. Oh, 4 stars. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I gave it 5 stars. Connor also gave it 5 stars. We had a great time. It's a mystery thriller about a girl who disappears at night. The night she disappeared. Really fun. I definitely recommend. Okay, then I finished a book that I'm gonna put into book about books because of the readathon prompt. Because I did read Ship of Destiny for the Squash That Series 24 and 48 weekend. I didn't finish it that weekend, but I did read it during that weekend for 24 out of the 48 hours. I read it for 10 minutes at least. So we're stretching things, and I'm gonna give myself that one because I just want to acknowledge that I did still try to participate in that readathon, even though it was just days after I landed in my new home and I had so much homework. The final prompt that we're gonna fulfill is Flora on the cover, which I did finish Wuthering Heights on the very last day of September, and it did have a meadowy field on the cover, so that's Flora. And we're done. So I got 1 3 in a row. I used one of my rewards, so I'm gonna get 1 reward for October, and I'm gonna be able to carry over my double up reward. So what's happening in October, hopefully it was more reading than in September, as I'm more and more settled into my new home. But also, many months ago, I feel like this maybe happened in February or something, my friend Danielle in a group chat said, what if I just read nonfiction only for a whole year? And the reaction to that was shock, horror, etc. Like, that's a bold claim to make for somebody who reads across many genres. But then we were kind of joking and talking about it and a couple of my other friends were like, okay, like what would you limit yourself to if you had to make a claim like that? And I said, I think I would just read classics for a whole year. And then we decided to just do that in October. So a couple of my friends are also participating in this very, very loose readathon, Chaos-tober. So anyway, I'm only reading classics in October. Coincidentally, Victober is happening in October, where you read Victorian literature. I don't know if there are specific prompts for this. I haven't followed it in the past at all. I've just heard about it, and I was looking at some people's TBRs to get some inspiration for my own Victober, which I'm not necessarily only reading Victorian classics, because like I'm gonna read Giovanni's Room, I hope. So yeah, I guess this month I do have a little more of a TBR than usual. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna generate the 9 prompts, and my reward is just gonna be a regenerate. Like I have the option to regenerate one of the prompts if I'm like, there's no way I could ever read a classic that fits that prompt. So I do have one reward from September, and the way that I'm gonna play the rewards this month is regenerate a prompt. So that's my reward. I get to regenerate one prompt for that 3 in a row. And if I want to regenerate another one, I can use my double up prompt as a regenerate instead. But maybe I'll save it as a double up. We'll just see what happens when we get to the prompts. But because I'm only reading classics, I just feel like it's possible I might get a prompt that I'm like, there's no way I can do that. And then I'll regenerate in the hopes of getting lucky. Okay, does that sound good? Like if I get true crime again, I'll regenerate that. But I can only do it twice, so whatever. The books that I'm planning to read, generally my like loose TBR before we even get into the prompts, because otherwise I'm gonna forget, is a reread of Emma by Jane Austen. I've actually already started that. That is, I don't know if that's my favorite Jane Austen book. It might be Pride and Prejudice, just a classic. But I am rereading Emma because that was the first one that I read of Jane Austen's works, which I have now read all of. And then I'm going to read Tess of the D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy, which is a book for my 30 by 30, and I'm going to buddy read that with Lizzie from Lizzie's Literary Life. And Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin I plan to read. I also have Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which is a horror classic. I have not really thought about if I want to allow myself to read like a classic like Lord of the Rings is considered a classic within the fantasy genre. So if I feel like really trapped, like midway through the month, I might like open up my definition of classic a little bit, but I'm starting with a pretty narrow one just to see, because I have a bunch of classics that I've been wanting to read, so I'm gonna like push myself to read them, although they are like overwhelmingly European, like white European classics. So hopefully I'll be able to add in some more diverse classics from some other countries. But I think I'm gonna read 3 books this month, and that's just what's happening. But we're gonna do all the prompts anyway, okay? We're just gonna see what happens. So without further ado, let us generate our first prompt. TBR Vet, a book that's been on my TBR for more than a year. Lucky us, that's pretty much everything that I already said I wanted to read, because any of the books from my 30 by 30, which is a lot of classics, those have all been on there. All the classics have been there for more than a year. I guess Emma wouldn't count because it hasn't been on my TBR for very long, but yeah, that one I think we can do. I really think we can do that. Our next prompt is Black author. Okay, nice. Like I said, I'm planning on reading Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. I suspect I'm gonna love it. So it's possible, if I'm reading a lot, like if I'm gonna read more than 3 books, I would read another James Baldwin. I have really wanted to read, the one that I saw the movie. It was so sad. If Beale Street Could Talk, I think. Or the other one. Can't remember. But it's also like maybe it's time for me to read a Toni Morrison because I haven't. So those are some options. I mean, I'm definitely gonna read Giovanni's Room. It's so short. And I'm gonna need a win in like 2 weeks. Okay, our next prompt is African author. Okay, this is a great opportunity for me to take a look at some lists. I'm gonna seek out some lists and read an African classic. If I read more than 3 books, like, I'm sorry. I have the 3 books that I know I'm gonna read, and then after that, everything is just a bonus. And I'm a little bit embarrassed to say, like, I can't think of a single one other than, is it Things Fall Apart? Yeah. Okay, a quick Google brought me to a list of 7 African classics that aren't Things Fall Apart. So I'm gonna leave this open and just see what I can find on Libby, just so that I could be prepared to potentially fulfill that prompt. Let's pick our next prompt. A used book. That might be one that I choose to regenerate just because I don't have a used classic that I haven't yet read. So if I have like the time of my life reading Emma and I decide to reread another Jane Austen, I do have all of those and they are all used. And I just finished a used copy of Wuthering Heights, but I finished it in September, so can't use that one. So yeah, I might have to regenerate that one, but we'll see. Let's see what the rest of the board holds. This is prompt number 1, which is shocking. A red cover. Book with a red cover? I don't know. Things Fall Apart has a red cover sometimes. That's also like, I feel like especially with classics, they've all got a lot of covers. Oh, but Jekyll and Hyde, the one that I borrowed from Libby, does show a red cover, I remember. So that could count for that. Let's keep moving. Our next prompt is an urban setting. Okay, I think Giovanni's Room has an urban setting. That's all I know. I have no idea where Tess of the D'Urbervilles is set. So that one is also an option for regenerating, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, our next prompt is gonna be an ARC. See, I don't have advanced reader copy of classic literature, shockingly. Yeah, that one I definitely want to regenerate because it's absolutely impossible, so I'm actually just gonna, we're just gonna generate that one again. I'm gonna use that reward right now. And instead of ARC, we're gonna have Libby. Okay, that's good. I got Tess of the D'Urbervilles and Jekyll and Hyde from Libby. So if I don't regenerate again, I'll be able to use a double up, which I think is going to be more helpful than regenerating the used book one or the urban setting. It depends, I guess, on what shows up next, but I think having a double up reward is going to be good for me this next month. Our next prompt, moving on, is recently acquired. Okay. Well, I bought the copy of Emma that I'm reading right now and my copy of Giovanni's Room at the same time. It was months ago, but that's recent-ish. It was one of the most recent times I bought books. I did receive what might be considered a classic in some circles for my birthday. Connor gifted me a copy of The Stranger Beside Me by Anne Rule, which is a classic true crime. See, we could push things. I don't want to push things like that. I want to really read like old words, but I recently acquired that. We'll see. I mean, the only reason that I would push the envelope on what I'm counting as a classic is if I'm like slumping partway through the month, and I don't think that that enormous book is gonna solve the problem. But maybe. Okay, let's get our final prompt, and then we'll be done for now. A mystery. Okay. Okay. You know? Okay, that's another one that like maybe I would like to regenerate that, but I think I would still rather have the double up option than not mystery, because I do think I could fulfill that prompt with a little bit of thinking. I'm just gonna wing it, I guess, and try to have fun this month and hopefully just read. I think one thing I've really been missing lately with my reading, especially maybe because I've had such a limited amount of energy and time to actually read, is like good writing. I just feel like I've read and listened to so many books that were like fine, or it's like the plot is good, sure, the characters are interesting, but like the actual writing has been leaving me wanting. And I have talked about this like a little bit with friends about how like books are just not hitting that good. So I'm hoping that by delving into the classics, I'll be able to like read some beautiful like language. Like I want to read a book where the author really knows how to write a sentence. And I hope that I'm gonna get it. I remember from reading the first chapter or whatever of Giovanni's Room being really like enthralled by the way that that was written, so I'm excited for that. And I know that I just really enjoy Jane Austen's writing. I think it's so fun. So also looking forward to that. But I just like, I want a bridge and I want to get more of that. Anyway, hopefully I'm going to read some amazing books. Let me know what your favorite classic is down below. Bonus points if it's short. We need some wins this month. So I've got my double up reward. I've got my board. I've got my books. I've got a good attitude. So thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you're reading in October. Are you reading something for Victober? Are you just happy to be here? Are you doing something spooky for October? I was a little bit bummed that this really got in my own way of playing Book-Oplathon, but I didn't want to try to do them both. I know I totally could, but I'm not doing it. I'm not in the right place for that. So anyway, okay, yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting, liking, and subscribing. And I'll see you back here hopefully sometime before November 1st with another video, but no promises. Goodbye.